Welcome back. Our next guest is not only one of the most famous football players in American history, but he's also a health advocate and activist. NFL Hall of Famer Dick Butkus was a middle linebacker for 9 years with the Chicago Bears. He is the national spokesperson for the I Play Clean campaign, leading the effort to remove steroid abuse from high school and college sports.
Dick is a good friend of mine, and we recently wrote a book together called The OC Cure for Heart Disease. And we first met when he came to my office for a heart scan, and the results were not very good, and he went on to have bypass surgery in a few days. I believe the operation saved his life, and I think he does also. And he has since founded the Dick Butkus Center for Cardiovascular Wellness right here in Orange County. The Dick Butkus Cardiovascular Wellness Center is a nonprofit center that's been established to screen for the major risk factors of heart disease. And there's two parts to the screening. One is to screen young adults, young athletes, to detect congenital heart disease, mainly cardiomyopathies, which are weakened heart muscle, and problems with the electrical system of the heart. And we do that with echocardiograms, also called ultrasound tests, and EKGs. The second part is to offer electron beam or ultrafast CT screening to pick up coronary calcium and plaque in those at risk, but this is an older age group. This is people in the 35 to 40 or older who have a risk factor. And the idea of this center is to provide this unique technology to those who cannot afford it and offer to them at very, very low cost. And that cost is supported by the Wellness Center. Did you ever think you'd be on Health Matters?
No, I never thought I'd be on a health show because just like anybody that plays professional sports, you think you're invincible. And I quickly learned, well, I didn't so quickly learn, but I learned after I retired that things were going wrong. And I was totally shocked when I came in and did that EBCT scan. I thought it was all a joke because the guy I came in with was a member of the Blues Brothers. And I thought it was just this big joke, pretty nasty joke, but when I found out it wasn't a joke, it sort of turned my life around. It really did.
Yeah. And now you seem, you've done great afterwards. You've been exercising, keeping your weight down. And who's your cardiologist? Well, you must have a really good cardiologist to look as good as you do.
If I would have had a good one, from the get-go.
That wouldn't be you, Larry, would it?
Yeah. So you got to find one you could afford. So then that's who I have right now.
That's right. Yeah, you get what you pay for, I guess.
Yeah, that's it.
But anyway, after we wrote the book, and we've been trying to promote early detection of heart disease, and you've been a great advocate for that, and you're a great example what early detection can do. It saves people's lives. Now, with the Dick Butkus Cardiovascular Wellness, I know you have some designs on perhaps helping retired NFL players who are not as fortunate as you to have health insurance and another career. Can you tell me your thoughts about that a little bit?
Well, that's the latest thing going around is the steroid issue with modern players, and also with the old retired players. A lot of guys are having some problems. Whether or not the NFL really, they just don't really take care of the people that started this game years ago. And I just thought through this, because we have so many problems, I don't know what the life expectancy is for a football player, but it's around 50-some years old. Right. And if we calculate when I had my heart problem, I would have been at the upper level, because that was, what, 5-7 years ago. So right. I think there's a need for that, and I also think it's a need with our wellness center is to start looking at women. I've got some friends from all over that are firemen, and apparently you've discovered that women who are fire people have a lot of problems, are very susceptible to heart disease. Right. And so we're going to, maybe the police and retired people who maybe just can't afford to do things on your own. Because now, and I'll sum it up, when I was playing, I was very well taken care of. Whether the doctors were really the best, I don't know, but we were taken care of. And what happens is when you leave your profession, you're just like anybody else. And I didn't think I had to see a doctor. And I hadn't seen anybody, for 4 or 5 years before I came to you with the heart thing. So I could have been, if I didn't really go there. Sure. It's something about the males that they don't want to go to doctors as much as women do. So I think that's something we've got to get across, and we've got to have somewhere where they can go, and and if I could be the front for it, or be involved in it, maybe they'll come in droves instead of staying home.
And half the women die of heart disease just like half the men. It's not just a man's disease. I know you've been interested in high school kids and college football, college players. And why don't you tell us a little bit about the I Play Clean campaign?
The I Play Clean campaign is just trying to get the awareness to high school, on the high school level, to parents, coaches, and the athletes themselves that this is dangerous stuff. I mean, it's like we talked, and you did that little test, although it was a small number. You know, what we found with weightlifters and former Mr. Universe who were on steroids, that it really does some damage to their insides. And we want to get the message out to the young high school athletes, like, listen, the chances of you of making it to pro level are maybe 1 in 10,000. Are you going to risk that over at maybe at 30 years old, you're going to have the insides of an 80-year-old man? I don't think the odds are that good.
How are these high school students getting the steroids in the first place? Are they getting them from trainers, or?
Some of them get them from the high school coaches.
From their coaches, really?
Some. I'm not, but look up on the internet.
Really?
It's that prevalent all over.
Prevalent.
Yep.
Now, when you were playing professional sports, were you aware when your trainer came in, for example, and gave you a shot for maybe your joint or a shoulder or whatever? Were you aware of what they were giving you at the time, or did they just sort of do whatever they wanted to do?
No, that was the pro level, and I never had been injected before a game. It was always after. I had knee problems, and he would shoot hydrocortisone. But what had happened over the years of getting these shots almost every week for 9 years, that's why I had to have a knee replacement, because I think the bone deteriorated from all those shots. But it doesn't matter. I mean, if all I wanted to do was play, and back then you had to play. If you didn't play, you didn't get paid. So I'm going to entrust my career on this team doctor, which maybe is not that smart, because you follow him, you do what he says. And now I look back on all the guys that are messed up, but you don't know that at the time. And I know there's skeptics out there saying, well, what'd you play for? You knew you were going to get hurt. Well, when there's something you love to do, you do. Just like there's firemen, there's policemen, they're all dangerous jobs.
Right.
But at least they have a nice pension and whatever.
Right. Where the football players don't, and that's why your foundation is so wonderful.
Well, that's, and there's a pride deal. I know if I was down and out, I wouldn't be coming, hey, look, I need help. That's one of the main problems, is finding these people that are not doing so well either physically or financially, and just helping them. What's wrong with that? They're the guys who really allowed the Peyton Mannings and everybody else to be making $20 million a year.
Exactly.
To be frank.
And now the same injuries that you had as a professional football player today, how long, for instance, would that same injury take to heal, as opposed to when you had that type of knee injury?
No telling, because back in those days, if you had knee surgery, you would be required to be in a cast, a full cast. Usually 6 weeks, and then you've got to try to break the adhesions. It's, it was really not a nightmare. The advances in strength training, nutrition, everything is so advanced now. I thought I heard, this Rivers, before they played the Patriots, he had a scope, during the week prior to that game, and he played. Gutsy guy.
Unbelievable.
So, yeah, it's totally different. I mean, the advancements is night and day right now.
Dick, we have this picture of you. I wonder if you can just spend 2 seconds and explain it to us.
This picture was taken when it was a game against the Washington Redskins, against George Allen, who was was the coach of the Redskins, but he really was my rookie coach. I got kicked above the eye, and you could see the patch by the eye there. But we were losing. We scored. I was on the point after team, and it was a bad snap. The ball was snapped 40 yards downfield, and I was the up back, and so I just kind of like wandered into the end zone. I'm looking, where's the, and then I see the quarterback scrambling for the ball, and I wave, and he throws it to me, and I had been kicked in the eye, and it started to swell up, and it was closing on me, and so I lost my depth perception, right? And so here comes the ball, and I jump up, and the ball was right there. I could have just stood there, but I jumped up, caught it, and we beat them by 1 point. And the Redskins had to either win that game or the next game to get in the playoffs. But then I was looking at it, and I said, oh, man, if I would have dropped this.
That would have been it. Thanks so much for coming. Legendary football star, American icon, and the best friend you can ever have, Dick Butkus. Thank you, Dick.
Thanks.